If you're sending cold emails and you're not getting replies, in 80% of cases, you do have problems with your deliverability. Your emails probably are landed into the spam folder. You might think that you can fix the problem by implementing Clay, by adding extra personalization, by implementing AI, but those things will not help you if you do have deliverability issues. And in 80 or even 90% of cases of the clients that we do have, I see that almost everyone has imperfect email deliverability. And the reason for that is cold email infrastructure is extremely fragile thing. You might make some small little mistakes and your emails are going to spam and you're not getting any results. So today I will try to guide you through the explanation of how to build the anti-fragile cold email infrastructure. So let's start from the very beginning. It doesn't really matter how personalized your emails are, or how many contacts you are reaching out to, or how well you integrated it with your CRM. If your cold emails are going to spam, it all makes no sense because nobody replying from spam folder. It doesn't really matter, really. If you're extremely great with your copywriting and your emails are landed into spam, you're not going to get any results. You might be lucky and generate one lead, but you're not able to generate thousands or hundreds of leads. It's extremely unpredictable. So today we're going to cover why cold email deliverability is the most important factor in the outbound. Why you might not even know that your emails are going to spam folder. What is the current problem with the tracking methods of the warm-up deliverability, including open rates, warm-up tools, etc., etc. How we build the anti-fragile cold email infrastructure that scales rapidly, and how we monitor, fix issues before they ruin your campaigns. And of course, our step-by-step process to audit and optimize your setup in just 2 weeks. So you might tell me, hey, Ilya, I'm using warm-up and it shows 100% deliverability. It should be everything great with my deliverability, right? In this case. But the thing is that your current deliverability metrics are wrong. Why? You might see the 100% deliverability, 99% deliverability, but all of those things are wrong. And the reason for that, there are a few reasons actually. The first one, deliverability metrics are usually shown based on the warm-up pool. If you set up warm-up and you see that you have 100% deliverability, that is extremely wrong. And there is a reason for that. First, 80% of the warm-up pool it consists of mailboxes from other spammers. If you're using any outreach tool and you set up the warm-up, you see that 80% of other users also use warm-up feature. And in the majority of cases, they're all spammers. And if your emails are going to their inboxes, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really mean that your emails will go to the inboxes of your prospects because their mailboxes are extremely biased. But the second reason, and this is extremely important, 95% of the mailboxes in the warm-up pool are on Google. That is extremely important. That means that even if you have a great deliverability by sending to Google, and even if it's right, even if it's a correct number, 100% deliverability or almost 100% deliverability, the real problem is that whenever you try to reach out to the prospects who use Microsoft or any other ESP provider, your warm-up stats are extremely wrong because you are not sending to the Outlook or Microsoft mailboxes. So at the end of the day, your warm-up might not only show you incorrect and inaccurate deliverability metrics, but also hurt your deliverability. If you're engaging with too many spammers, Google and other ESP providers might think that you're actually a spammer. So that in this case, this is a really wrong way to track your deliverability. You might tell me, hey, but back in the days, there was a solution. And this is true. Back in the days, we all had the open tracking. And even though open tracking is not the most accurate way to see the deliverability or any other things, the dynamic in the open tracking was a thing that showed us our deliverability. So back in the days, if you had 65 or 70% open rate, and after that, after like a few months, you saw that it dropped to 30 or 40%, that meant that you do have problems with your deliverability. Usually no changes or no A/B testing of your subject lines will not really affect that huge drop. And the problem with that method right now is that Google actually banned or actually, deleted this option, the open tracking. Why? Because whenever you right now send cold emails with open tracking turned on, you are usually, or all the outreach tools are usually implementing a small invisible pixel that triggers Google to say that, oh, you're probably a spammer. In this case, whenever you're sending the cold email campaigns with the open tracking turned on, your prospects will see those messages. So, hey, report a spam, show images, and so on and so forth. That means that Google triggered that you do have a small invisible pixel. You try to track the open tracking, the open rates, and they're going to show you, hey, please report a spam. And this is a huge problem. You might not even get the spam rate right now, right or bad, but the fact that your prospects might click on this report spam button pretty easily, it ruins your deliverability right away. So right now, don't track open tracking right now. They do instead. In reality, we need to understand that in the current outbound space, the more leads means that you need to have a more volume, and that means you need to have more risks. If you actually calculate and use your metrics, we need to understand how many leads do you want to generate. So for example, we do have the calculator that you actually can use and use your own metrics over here. The thing is that whenever you put the amount of leads you want to generate, you will see the amount of contacts you want to reach out to with the amount of emails that you need to send, considering the follow-ups. The thing here is that if we have just the basic and just default metrics, such as, hey, we do have the 1.5% reply rate, and only 10% of those people who replied are actually converted into the leads. And like the real question is, how many contacts do we need to reach out to generate, for example, 10 leads? Or you can actually change this. You can use like 20 leads or 5 leads and see how many contacts, and use your own metrics over here to see how many contacts you need to reach out to. Okay, in this case, by just using the default metrics, we see that in order to generate 10 leads, we need to reach out to almost 2,000 people. And that means that we need to send almost 10,000 of cold emails, including the follow-ups. Wow, that's a huge number. You can tell me, if you're reaching out to only 10 people and you're actually generating 5 leads out of that, okay, this is not the case for you. But in the majority of cases, you do have these metrics. The open rate, 65%, open to reply rate, 7%, and reply to MQL, 10%. Those metrics are those benchmarks are actually benchmarks. If you have something more or something less, you still understand that it's still a huge number. So the real question is how to send this amount of cold emails. In reality, that if you try to focus and say, hey, I can send from one mailbox 200 emails per day and try to scale it vertically, you're in extremely risky zone. Why? Because if something happens wrong, your one mailbox will be banned fully, you're going to lose it. Oh, no. And all of your bandwidth will be actually zero. At the same time, if you're using your main domain, you're going to actually lose this ability as well. But also, on top of that, you're going to hurt your whole business if you're using your main domain for sending cold emails. So the best way to do that is scale horizontally. That means that if you have 10 mailboxes, by sending only 20 cold emails per day from each mailbox, you're able to reach the same volume, like 200 emails per day, but just using different mailboxes. And even if something happens with this mailbox, all good, no worries. You still are sending enough cold emails to generate leads. And this is a really, really important thing here. We need to scale horizontally. But the real question is how to scale horizontally. In reality, you need to do a lot of things. You need to set up different domains. You need to track DMARC. You need to do DNS settings, SPF, MX record, etc., etc. You need to do just literally a lot. You need to set up different ESP providers and so on and so forth. You need to make sure that your cold email outreach tool is set up correctly, that you are sending plain text, not HTML-based cold emails, that even if you're tracking links and you're sending any links in your cold emails, you need to have your own CNAME for those tracking links. And there's so many little details and nuances. And in reality, why the cold email deliverability is so fragile that even this one little thing like this one, or just this one, or any of those things that I didn't really mention here might really affect your deliverability. And even if you make one mistake, all of your outbound lead generation will be ruined and will be damaged a lot. So you're not generating leads because your emails are going to spam, because you actually made one small little mistake. So, and all of those mistakes are such as hey, if you're sending from the Outlook to Google and your Outlook was not set up correctly, your actual emails will go to spam. Oh my God, that's a huge problem, right? And the question is, okay, what to do in this case? How to actually fix it? How to build the anti-fragile cold email infrastructure? So here we do have a solution, and you might do it on your own, or you might use our service called Anti-Fragile Cold Email Infrastructure, aka fractional CAD of cold email infrastructure for your B2B business. So what we do actually have 7 steps that cover the full cold email deliverability in your company. So at the very beginning, we don't start with setting up domains, mailboxes, or any outreach tools. We start with understanding the volume that you need. So what we do, we check your pipeline goals and metrics that you have, or use the benchmarks if your metrics are not that great, to calculate the projected output you need. So we don't think about, okay, how many domains you need. Firstly, we think about how many leads you need to generate. Then we see what was your usual reply rate to the positive reply rate. Then we see the metrics such as open rate, reply rate, click rate, etc., etc. And then we understand what is the actual amount of cold emails that you need to send on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And based on this, we'll understand what we can actually do for you. Okay, so once we understand that, for example, you need to reach out to 10,000 contacts per month, to, reach your pipeline goals. Here is the question. Okay, what we do the next? The thing is that we don't really start with setting up your domains or mailboxes or any outreach tools. We do the step 2. Here is we analyze your ideal customer profile and people who you want to reach out to understand their ESP provider. That means that if you want to reach out to 10,000 contacts, we'll go and take a sample of the contacts you want to reach out to and analyze whether they're actually using Google, Microsoft, or any other ESP providers. Why do we need this? Because it will help us to build a diversified cold email infrastructure. So, for example, in this case, we do have like 37% of your contacts who you want to reach out to, they're using Microsoft, right? And the majority of others are actually using Google. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now, once we know that, we set up a diversified infrastructure. So we do buy domains, we do set up mailboxes for your needs. So what does that mean, diversified infrastructure? Because cold email infrastructure, cold email deliverability is so fragile, we want to reduce the risks. So how do we reduce the risks? Basically, the very first thing, we set up your cold email infrastructure on several ESP providers, such as Google, Microsoft, and SMTP with dedicated IP addresses. In this case, we're going to see that, 62% and 37%, right? In this case, that we're going to set up 37% of the mailboxes on Microsoft, and 63% are going to be on Google. And that is between those two ESP providers. And the rest, almost like 40 or 50% of your deliverability, of your overall volume will be put also on the SMTP. So in total, it's going to be 60% from those two ESP providers that are split by 63 and 33% between those two. And 40% of your output are going to be sent from the SMTP with dedicated IP addresses. In this case, we reduce all the risks. Why do we set up a different ESP providers? Because basically, whenever you're sending your cold emails from Outlook to Outlook, and that means that your leads are actually using Outlook or Microsoft mailboxes, your deliverability is going to be really better. And the same thing happens whenever you're sending from Google to Google, your deliverability will be better. If you're sending from Google to Microsoft, you're gonna actually have and experience some issues with your deliverability. The reason for that is whenever you send from Outlook to Outlook, Outlook knows way more about yourself than whenever you're sending from Google to Outlook. In this case, you might hurt and you might see deliverability issues. Okay. We do this all set up for you. Now, with all the technical things, so no worries, we're going to set up all the DNS settings such as MX record, SPF, DMARC, all those things. Okay, we do have the infrastructure. Now we need to prepare this infrastructure for sending cold emails. And again, I told you that the current warm-up tools are actually not perfect, and which is true, but we have a lot of great tools that actually provide with a pretty great warm-up capabilities. So in this case, we do set up and manage smart, manual and AI-powered warm-up process using different warm-up pools. This is just a mix of different actions to help you prepare your infrastructure and show to the Google and Microsoft that you're actually a healthy user. You're not here for spam, because a lot of people who you're reaching out to in the warm-up process are actually replying to you. And this warm-up pool is actually healthy. Okay, once we do this, you're ready to send cold emails. But you might still make a lot of mistakes. So what we do here, it's our step 5. You're ready to send cold emails, but what we do in order to help you not face the issues and the problems in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months, or even in a few weeks, we are constantly monitoring your deliverability, including but not limited to inbox placements. We run different inbox placements to see whether your current domains and mailboxes are actually added into the spam or different other folders, etc., etc. We do this DMARC monitoring. We do take a look at the warm-up results, your campaign setup. We do take a look at all of those things, and we monitor your actions in order to A, fix quickly and identify the problems pretty quickly. Why we do that? Because basically, if you have issues with your deliverability right now, and those are the small issues, and we see that it's only the rising, the moment when you actually started facing those issues, it's way easier to fix them. And if you're experiencing issues with your deliverability for a few weeks or even for a few months, okay, in this case, it's so hard to fix that thing, okay? In this case, we try to prevent cold email issues or actually detect them at the very beginning. The number 6 step, we enable your team with the advanced processes and the frameworks on how to send cold emails in order to make sure that your team is doing the right thing in terms of like they are using the plain text mode, they are not tracking open tracking, they are not doing a lot of things, etc., etc. So we make sure that your team faces the highest possible deliverability with your campaigns. But the last thing, okay, you still might have issues with deliverability. So, or probably, okay, we detected some problems here with the deliverability monitoring, etc., etc. Step number 7, we actually proactively fix deliverability issues so you don't have to have a headache. Really, in the majority of cases, if you face issues with your deliverability, you don't know how to fix them, but we do. In this case, we proactively go and fix all the problems. We might change the IPs, we might change the domains, we might do a lot of different things, to make sure that you still can keep the same volume of the emails that are sent with the highest possible deliverability, okay? And the real question is, okay, but why to trust us, right? Who we are. We know cold email from all the sites. We actually know it from the provider's perspective because here is me. Actually, you can take a look at me. In 2019, I joined Landlist. This is right now one of the biggest sales automation platforms. Here's the moment when I joined. We actually launched the email warm-up tool Lemwar. We were the first on the market, and I know this area from the very beginning and from the from the provider side. But we also know it from the sender's perspective. The thing is that we are running and sending like thousands of cold emails on a weekly basis. That is why we know how to do those things on our own. But we also know cold emailing from consultants and agencies' perspective. The thing is that we do have more than 80 clients who we help already with leveling up of their outbound lead generation. The industries are IT services, B2B SaaS, marketing agencies. This is the primary industries we help with, and we help with building the anti-fragile cold email infrastructure, something that I showed you right now. We make the audit and the strategy for the outbound lead generation, and we also implement AI automation. In the majority of cases, whenever I start talking to people about the strategy or the AI automation things in the outbound, I see that the 90% or 95% of problems that they experience right now are actually because they do have a really bad deliverability. So we always start with fixing the cold email infrastructure question. This is the most important part of your deliverability, of your outbound lead generation. And here are just a few guys who actually know us personally. This is the guy, Vlad from Belkins. This is the biggest lead generation agency. They have more than 500 people in their agency, and they are running, dozens or hundreds of campaigns for their clients. And we actually know a lot about cold emailing. That is true. And this is Stefan, the co-founder of Expanded. This is one of the biggest LinkedIn lead generation tools and platforms on the market. And Stefan says that we are the beasts in growth and outbound. We know a lot about outbound. If you want us to take a look at your outbound lead generation and deliverability, let us know. Please just submit the form below. And the thing is that we always start with a really quick audit. We check in just 10 or 15 minutes your current deliverability. And if everything is great with your deliverability, we'll tell you right away, okay, this is great. Or you need just a few minor fixes. We're going to tell you exactly what to do, and it's going to cost you actually $0. But if you have the problems with your deliverability and you need to fix your infrastructure, in this case, we're going to be your trusted partner who will help you build the proper cold email infrastructure so you can send enough cold emails to generate leads predictably. So thanks a lot. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and let's connect on LinkedIn and ask me anything. Let's work together. Let's build the anti-fragile cold email infrastructure for you. Bye-bye.